Hello, good morning, is a mistake of mine because I didn't finally specify the time for her intervention, for her contribution yesterday, and she's going to speak to us for a few minutes today. Her background, which doesn't need much explaining, is in training as in veterinary science, and she, in a logical progression, moved into the field of technical translation in the medical field, and then she specialized in issues relating to translation. So she is a person who I'm sure you'll realize why she has been chosen to speak, to become the first president of her association. Firstly, I would like to thank the network and the UOC, and particularly Miquel Strubell, for this opportunity to present this project that we are involved in. I'm going to speak in Catalan to break the dynamics of earlier sessions in which people spoke in English, and to give a bit of change for the interpreters who've been working so well, and because I can express myself better in Catalan. As Mr. Strubell said, I really ought to explain why I moved from veterinary science into interpretation. I was asked to become the first president of the interpreting cluster because I work as in the largest interpreting firm. We, as a family, are a mixture of German speakers, Russian speakers, and so on. And my grandmother, with 7 children, was widowed and was a housewife. And at that time in Spain, the knowledge of languages was very low, and she began to work as a translator. She went to customers, taking the translators. She used to use carbon copy to work on a typewriter, and we all evolved, and we've adapted to the new technologies, and we can see that you have exactly the same problems as we do. In other words, how far can we get with ICT and replace humans, and how can we find this balance of transmission of knowledge and of culture, which languages and their knowledge transfer. After this personal note, I'm going to explain that the Clústerlingua Association, which is the Catalan cluster of language industries, has up to now a very short history. It was formed on the 20th of January of this year, 2012, at the headquarters of digi-tal-ent, the foundation, and it is formed by the 9 largest translation companies in Catalonia, and they sell products worth about 20 million euros a year. They are all committed to using and introducing ICT in a constant way, and we are all convinced that our market is the world, and the opportunities of the diversity of languages and multilingualism spoken in the world is an enormous opportunity for all of us, both at an economic level, as a company level, but also at a personal level in cultural terms. The cluster began out of a reflection, a strategic reflection, which was undertaken by the City Council of Barcelona and the Catalan government through EUNoM, the House of Languages. And as a result of this reflection, one of our conclusions was that to be competitive, languages are very important. Languages are markets. Languages and, of course, people that speak these languages, so that the more languages you have, the more markets you can access and the more successful you can be. We're not really trying to compete against each other, but trying to add our skills here. To set up this cluster and the project, we used an external consultancy, and they're going to leave us very soon, and we will have to carry on doing all that work and make sure that our project can be undertaken successfully. As I say, well, here you have a little bit of the features and phases of the creation of the cluster to reach some of the conclusions that we have developed. The multilingualism cluster was set up to try and give an impulse to language industries. In Catalonia, all our companies are Catalan companies, but of course we want to expand across the world and give visibility to this sector of multilingualism, which is not very visible, and we want to help to achieve this. How do we want to do this? Well, through innovative projects and helping companies to become international. I would like to make a short break and say that I've always believed that innovation can't be the result of someone having a brilliant idea one morning. It's a joint job, observing what we have around us, talking to people and organizations around us, all working in the same field of multilingualism, and then trying to detect what we can do together and to develop projects which can look into the future, can be useful, and that the society can then use. This is a way of advancing. In this slide, we have tried to bring together the results of this research project. We studied and contacted all the value chain, the whole range of agents involved in this chain, from public administrations, investors, associations, companies, agents of knowledge, such as the universities, a very important example, business enterprises, such as mine, and the final customer, who can be maybe private individuals or corporations, businesses, or whatever. They can be in industries and so on, and of course the public authorities. After doing this kind of global study, we then moved into Catalonia to find out what we already have, and this slide shows the breakdown of what we found, the interpretation, translation companies, people working in semantics of voice, dubbing, subtitling, teaching languages. There are no language academy representatives here. And we'd like to underline that multilingualism in Catalonia is an extremely important sector, about 250 companies, and we sell products worth over 125 million euros a year and have several thousand jobs. So it is an important sector. When we did this study, we realized that our market were basically small and medium-sized companies. We had a limited range of services, not all that much technology, not much connection between the world of research and science and these companies. And many of these companies, whether they are small or large, there's a very atomized sector, and we haven't up to now, perhaps we hope to change things, we haven't been able to work together in the past. The most important point is this one. We've seen that in times of crisis, in Spain, the sector was growing at a 5.5%, whereas in the rest of the world, our sector was growing at 17% per annum growth. Well, that really shows us what globalization means. It doesn't mean uniformity, quite the contrary. It means there's more diversity. And one of our objectives, as a result, is to try to help our companies to become international, because we believe that there's a lot of prospects abroad if we want to grow and have more choices. This is where we are now. I'm talking about the Catalan level. We're working at a very Catalan level. We compete on the basis of cost. We don't like that, but that's the way things are. One of our objectives is to try and educate our customers to give an added value to all the tasks that are related to multilingualism, translation, interpretation, and so on. And this is the way we want to go. We want our companies to end up being on one particular side of this graph, working at a global level. What are our future challenges? Bearing in mind what we have right now, these are our challenges. The most important is to achieve our firms externalize, working internationally, working abroad, because multilingualism, being able to work in many languages, will be an advantage. Catalonia has quite a long tradition of this, because we are bilingual, and the fact that we have a port means that other cultures, other languages arrive here sooner than in other places, and has this impact. We're trying to make the services more vertical and more sophisticated. We would like importance to be attached to translating and to be able to transmit in a different language important concepts and products. We'd like to gain in technological innovation. There has to be a non-stop process. We have to try out new products, new tools. We have to try them out. Some work very well, some don't work so well. We have to try and find a balance. And we have to bring science into our firms. This is one of the challenges. Up to now, every firm seems to do its own thing. We have to try to work together. The institutions, educational institutions, research centers and universities from their side, and our firms from ours. We feel that this relationship would be absolutely complementary and not at all competitive. So we hope that this will be, you will find this interesting, and that we can find common points to work in everyone's mutual benefit together. Then we would like to consolidate this sector and to make it more visible in society. This has made us define some areas to work in, structure and governance that has been started and is more or less laid down. Now we're trying to make the cluster visible and give it a good position. This is an important phase. So if any of you who are here would like to know more things, please get in touch with us. We'll be thrilled. And you can do it if Mr. Strubell allows me. You can do that through his network, and he and the network will give you our contact details. The cooperative development will come at a later stage. What we have now underway is two projects: the vertical specialization and technological integration. We're working in multimedia, because multimedia context at the world level is an unstoppable process. And multilingualism and linguistic diversity have a great task here. And this is a project we have already started. And the other will be later, to internationalize and to help firms to work abroad, so that we can really become a reference point at world level in terms of multilingualism and diversity. And we think that will mean becoming much more visible. From my point of view, that's all. I tried to make it short, partly because the cluster is only 4 months old, so that we can't really explain many anecdotes or cases of success. We hope there will be soon, and we are absolutely open to cooperate with the educational and research communities, and we hope that what we have said is going to be of interest to you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This is a very ambitious project, and I think it's also very necessary. If there are questions from the public, Tunde, I would myself like to ask two questions. When will you have a website that would help visibility? You're only been going for 4 months, so I'm not being demanding, but and the second question is, do you have any reference about similar initiatives in the rest of the world? As regards the web, we're working on it, and within a couple of months, we hope, perhaps before the summer, to have our website going, even if it's simple in the first phase. And as regards other references, the Basque Country has a cluster, and then in Canada there is an experience which, as far as we know, has been and is very positive, and that's really encouraged us to do something similar here.
So we have the same, but not Clústerlingua, but the other way around, Lingua Clustra. Cluster, but the aim was something different in Budapest. It was to bring closer academia to offices and business. So we work together, and this way students can get jobs, and they in reality cooperate. The higher educational institutions plus translation agencies, whatever. And we would be happy to involve some other foreign companies whose aim is different, But what I really preferred about this Hungarian lingua cluster, that the aim was to bring academia closer to business. And they work together. They have to pay membership fee, but universities don't have to. And they give us software, everything free of charge. So I think it's a good cooperation. Probably it could be as example for others as well. Thanks.
Thanks very much for that information. We take careful note of this, and we'll get in touch with you to learn from other cases and see how we can cooperate in the future.
Glyn Williams.
Bon dia. One of the fundamental objectives of this project, I think there are probably two. One is to try and extend the use of languages into every single department within higher education rather than restrict it to just individual departments. The second one is to try and exploit the notion of three different sectors, or triple helix, whatever you want to call them, which would involve the public sector, the private sector, and the higher education sector. And in that sense, I think it's imperative on us. I don't think it's something that we can avoid, to integrate with companies like yours and to try and move the project forward. The difficulty is going to be one of resources. But I think on the other hand, if you think of how, for example, trucking companies moving around Europe are already using a central language component in order to make the work easier. Now you can extend that concept to any other sector. You've picked on the multimedia sector. Now, you know, that's redefining categories of employment and categories of work, so that you're no longer talking about journalism separately from television. I mean, television is going to disappear very shortly and becoming something else. Now, the second element of that is the archiving. And I think that on the horizon, you can already see the time when you're going to have cultural archives that are linked right across Europe. That means you're going to have a language and a translation component, because once copyright becomes copyleft, you're able to move these resources and charge for them anywhere around the world, and because the demand is going to be language specific. Now, you know, that opens up a vast market, a global market, which integrates the work that is going on in libraries, in museums, in higher education, with the work that you're doing. Now, if you can take notions and ideas like that and to link it to the kind of things we'd be doing in this project, which sometimes has been far too specific, been far too much targeted to what tools can we use to teach better within universities, rather than thinking outside of our own little niches. And I think that's the kind of thinking, and hopefully we can try and integrate. I don't think we can promise a great deal, but then maybe it's the first steps that are more important. And once you get those steps underway, something more can develop.
Yes, I completely agree that we have to work together. We have to appreciate the advantage of linguistic diversity. It isn't a problem, it's an opportunity, an advantage, an enrichment, and we want to try and fight to achieve within Catalonia and within the European institutions that the advantages of it will be appreciated. So I totally agree with that gentleman, that is Mr. Williams. And that's what we're here for. So let's see if we can achieve that all we have planned can advance. We can't promise very much until we really advance. Thank you very much. So that's fine. We'll keep in touch in the future. So thank you very much.
Moltes gràcies a tots.